Yo, hi, well, guys. This, I just got so freaked out now because the wind is blowing a lot, and like I'm sitting inside, I'm in bed already, and I'm like trying to do some screening processes and stuff like that for the content and so on. But like I was listening, like once again, like I was listening to something about the voice and certain things that we have been saying about the words, like everything that builds that air and the covenant and everything like that. Um, what I related it to just now, it was like so freaky, man, because the wind is blowing and here is a lamppost where the light kind of like it's been deposed and it is hanging by like some cord or thread, but the light was kind of like all golden coming through a curtain from which I can now see it. And then, okay, so I got up and I'm gonna like insert the clip for that. And then I now got up and I went to check that it was so like this circulating eye and it was making this strange noise and um it was almost like this weird Ruru Becky, like in my pigeonhole moment of myself right now, just being so frightened within this cave. And it just kind of like it really made me think, like, goddamn, like, we really, like, you know, we can be so breathed like the waters, the way the wind is breathing the ocean onto the earth right now. And just the whole ocean and the everything born of the waters. It just gave me this whole everything that the science and the whole amoeba-like cosmic genesis, genes of Isis, and just the way it's kind of like been telling us like, oh, but like we are, wink wink, this assimilation. And what we are is we are the confirmation. So like just wow. It's like they are the projectors and we are the reflectors. And everything that they kind of like churn out of us builds the lands, builds the like every time we as like just think of the mermaids and mermen, seamen and sea women that, you know, uncut comes through that matrix womb waters of life porthole, everything maritime, admiralty law and Jordan Maxwell, and the deeper dives of that through the Universe podcast. And even that word pod, it's very like alien. And so I'm just thinking all these words that have been kind of like just the entire realm that attribute, attribute. Maybe I was trying to say Atrahasis Buddha Uttrabhadrapada. But this like we sit as this statuesque thing that you will adorn and bring sacrifices and libations to. You will pour out your libations, like me trying to like find the honor to not be libelous. Is that my libation to Mariah Carey and this like inverted um evening lamppost light that just kind of stared at me also in this very like swatty matrix, the matrix way, because I know we get a very kind of like technocratic vision sometimes, and I think the AI generated art is to make the Prakriti seem more dystopian, you know. Um and what I mean by that is it's not like it's like the physical substance that manifests in the worlds of the Elon Musk Jimmy Neutron archetype. You see what they give us in the cartoons like SpongeBob and Courage the Cowardly Dog and just like every type of weird little thing where there's just like this alchemical magic happening, and it's like they combine a bunch of whole ideas, or they implode a bunch of like things that are very holistically recognizable. Like people throw this and that and all of that into a cauldron, and it just made me think just a lot of the like S split from the URSTU VW of our cipher and the Jupiter and the Munata to the seventh house, which becomes this like crescent, which becomes this like point of like refraction and bending light. And then I think of like the void of course moon going through like that hoop, and the new moon, and just everything that this Milky Way churning, even as a macrocosm, is supposed to represent to us. It's like they've put the fractal of this code across all these layers. It's like they said, like if you look at maybe the Da Vinci Code, they somehow like all these measurements just appear as if like that was the first thing, the grimoire, like the phi ratio and the golden rectangle and the spiral of the she shell or the sea shell, and the just all of it, that it excretes all of the arrival of Aphrodite on Crete and the Mediterranean and the Aegean of the Shatabishak in my God of War journey. And just like, my Greek battle with my Egyptian gods and my Egyptian notions being like tripolarized through like Jewish, Islam, and Christianity, or like Jewish religion. I don't know what to even call it, because like there's so many things that I've heard in terms of the context of Jewish, and now even like my cipher overlays something that relates to the age of Taurus, Cancer rising, like the flood, or whatever that was supposed to mean, as a new anima mundi, which I also think has Cancer rising. Everything that we know about Punarvasu, what are background screenshots of what the YouTube feed has been showing us about Artemis returning, and then she was white marble, and then she was black prima mater lumescent, and it was just very inky, and it was very like seeing the bastardizations and the different horses and whores of Babylons, or Babylonians or baby loins that were just turned into these like inverted yonis and spears of like the ram of Aries is Baranis. Get it? So that's the astrology. So like if the code is in the Vedic, then we can see why there's this legitimization process, because like the reason why, I'm not saying there's not a lot of great Vedic astrologers on YouTube, right? But I think just for my personal barrier of what it was to me, it was at first it was like just the accents and like not being able to follow the subtitles along with accents that were and the fact that not only that, but the fact that Sanskrit words were usually just referred to as whole concepts, right? And even the way I now talk, where these words became the Prakriti to my Drishti, in terms of seeing the Asura part of Venus, and the whole Punarvasu Niriti split of myself, and the whole agenda about my wholeness, and my rainbowness, and my wanting to be a butterfly, and a singer, and an actor. Those words applying to me positively, negatively, in a way that like what I thought I was finding my neutral in, I thought it made me bipolar or synesthesic or like hyper focused on certain things, and it was just so, as we've been saying, disconfoculating, right? So I think what I'm now also seeing is like that red shows, blue shows, purple, green, but like all in the pyramid of a black screen through a white foaming of the glittering Gemini Soma moonlight on the Mary Magdalene Maritime. We all admire her marine spirit of the unholy spirit, because like yes, it's holy, full of bubbles and reflections and crystallizations, rejections, abortions, placentas buried in her, and islands being pulled up a la Maui, and the whole Aries Athena and the Velikovskian mound of it all, and these cosmic mounds of it all, and all these American maroonings, Mariahing of it all, guys, like, and then like Ruru Becky, but like, oh my god, I see I and A in Mariah Carey, like as just like a dove, as like a whole concept that just like, like I can put just like the album of the butterfly in my mind, and like, okay, the butterfly era's information is just like all there. And I think that's what we are always doing, and that's what we are able to do that like the AI can't do, as I've been saying. Like that's our Ashlesha, Ketu, Mercury, underworld, upperworld, Chiron, and Mercury exalting in Sol or Charon, and just like the flip of that through the Thothma art of it all. But because like these headdresses, and who is the masculine and who is the consort and who is the consu, and the like, it's just been, and like there's all these cognates of like an anu and a ki and a l, so the a and the ki to the I and the L, and to turn everything on, and the Neptune and the light bulb of the Sagittarius I see that we've had in the 9th, because that's the birth of those phi ratios and the numbers and the primes on the white magnetic light asymptotically, as we are assimilating with the consciousness, natal chart synthesis process kaleidoscopically, and all these things that we now have to do amoeba-esque, like microscopically babushking back into the waters, and just like unvoicing ourselves to the Ursulas of the world in order to like have this North Star coming up with the water, the M flipped on its reflection, Mater, and the Jupiter became, you know, farther, and the castration of Uranus, Isis, became the Ganymedes. Of the Christus, Sapphires. It's just, oh my gosh, is it like serpent speak right now? Like, where am I in the garden of Rohini? Am I at the rock? You know, because it's like, if a certain inspiration, genius, Uranian fire, the art hidden progenitor of the whole Neptune sun to the Malkuth earth to the Venus as a twin of Mars, as a similar to the sun, and those being in its left aspect Mercury, and Saturn as it relates to our Kabbalistic tree of life, and in its right aspect Jupiter and Pluto, which kind of brings the whole Persephone myth to a like colluding little plot twist in things that I've kind of I've just heard it, like, and I didn't know where to place it, and now I'm like, all these nakshatras, Asterian nakshatras, all these shifted degrees, all these diffractions, and all these filters, and like it's all about how the eye is polished to see the tally of the scope, like how it all lies before you, but it was your perspective that, you know, and it was your polish, and it was like your gaze. Like, how did we look at our gaze? You know, how did I look at my community of rainbow kids? You know, because, like, if I have to be honest, you know, some of them offended me. And I felt it was offensive just because of how I felt, and not because that was anything that I couldn't like accept about myself, in the context of just I wanted to be a human being. I wanted to have all these colors and lights and stuff, but it was never meant to cut you out, you know. And like, yeah, it's just been my 6-2 vanity narcissist echo journey as well, from the roof to the root of this whole Mariah Carey butterfly programming that I'm decrypting now through myself, because, you know, I should just also like speak in what my, and like I now will use the gendered notion of like feminine side would want to, like, you know, because I ironically see that most of my audience are male, which I did not expect, to be honest. And maybe it's because I use guys a lot, I don't know. But yeah, guys, like, just like within myself, I feel like I want to like just have like these conversations that can just be like phone sex. Like right now I'm literally like laying on my stomach and I'm just kind of like capturing the wind for you guys so that like ugh, do I even want to like capture that like thing? I feel it's so pedantic now because even though like ugh, whatever, like I just want to share the more sapiosexual side of the spirituality as well. And like I don't often like I can't, like I can always be in the intellectual connection of those connotations when it's like relevant for whatever I'm like surgically trying to chitra out of my Neptune Danishta right now. Because what's in my cup, right? Like in the tarot you always hear like of these cups and stuff like that. So just bringing it more to the integrated side and even that word sounds harsh, like integrated, but like I'm grateful and I grated things up and I grated these rough cuts into like these fine moonstone diamonds that creates all the Tinkerbell shimmer of that movie, and the aquamarine Neptune of myself trying to like, you know, see more than Capricorn as this like hunched over ass, or like I don't know what that glyph even sometimes looks like to me. It just like it churns my ocean. So it was just so fascinating that I could like, oh, my mouth felt so dry now. It was just so fascinating that I could see within the chimeric of my Neptune in Capricorn karma how I could dissolve into all these narratives and all these Uranus splits and all these split screens and like the way my art and stuff that, you know, in my graphics and thumbnails and stuff, like, you know, like that has been kind of like my new little detail that I'm trying to like just kind of like add into the routine, because yeah, just like it's not even about explaining myself. I'm just like, I'm not where I want to be. I know where I want to go, but it's like it takes time and I need to have that time for myself and not feel like time is lost all the time if I don't feel like I've cut the Neptune out of my mind like that. Just thinking of, oh my god, Neptune is like a transgenerational planet, and you want it like in your second house or in your first house, with Uranus in like a Taurian bullseye, and with our overlaid cipher, our formscapes with like Mars and everything, Soma birthing, MrigaMarshed, Rohini and all of that. And you can see on like my placements that I included, just like where my Mercury and stuff are, like why I'm like so horny for like penetrating the veil of Mother Nature, right? And like being this mama's boy that wants to go back into the creatrix of itself. It's like I need that mirror unified through my Venus in Cancer and Ashlesha process and everything that I spoke about, like, because it's just like I'm not gonna like die without it. Like I will regenerate myself until I like have that life complete. Ola, gee eentje, man. Gee eentje, man. I've been smoking a lot because...
you must stop being smoking. Please, in the
Did it die?
Yes. That's why I'm inside. He passed away.
What?
I'm buiten afgestreefd.
Oh my god.
People look at
I just saw, that's why I made a video now, because like it was giving me like, I thought it was an alien thing watching me or something. A light fell. A lamppost fell. Oh my god, guys. My brother, who is the white horse that I mentioned, who is my dad's child from my mom's mother's sister, and the light in the lamppost and the owl, and how my dad's masculinity was castrated by just knowing that it's not his prerogative to now be a dad to a boy that the woman denies as his progeny, very demiurging, rejecting the fact that the Sophia birthed without the Christ, because the wife told him, my uncle Bert, that it was his child. And it's very Sophia going to like this higher power to plead. And I don't know why it just like made me not fucking think of all at once now, but like, let me just back up, because I cannot believe that my uncle is dead. And yet I can. Flower, gleam and glow. Let your power shine. Make the clock reverse. Bring back what once was mine. Heal what has been hurt. Change the fate's design. Save what has been lost. Bring back what once was mine. What once was mine. What's up, everybody? My name is Kalen. I'm the key keeper, and today we are going to be going back in time to come through with the presence of the presence at Pure Key's Lake of Self-Reflections. And first of all, I just want to say thank you to everybody who has been tuning in to all of the kikis that we have been having, all the K-calves that, you know, we have been trying to be noblesse and obliged as these hippocampal steeds riding the androgyne psychosexual wave of a Uranian art, trying to hit all these notes and connecting all these dots. From the root to the crown, Neptune in the earth, the mermaid, the fairy, the Apollo, the Hieroglyph, and everything keying us in to ourselves within the myth, the songs of our hearts, and the mirrors who sing bliss. So yeah, I hope everybody has been enjoying the content. I am trying to just, add to it more and more every day. Sometimes I will change up my titles, or sometimes I listen to things back and I'm just like, I have source material for so many different topics in there, I can just kind of like title it differently, and like it's like the content has a whole different perspective as a video. And just playing around with like also like the hashtags and everything algorithmic as it relates to these search term notions, looking at analytics. It's so the bane of my existence because I'm like, oh, the numbers speak too. And then I'm like, doing the whole rainbow serpent of the deep thing that we have been deciphering of what it could all mean in the golden ratio of what we are spiraling in to be seen, because we get out to be heard in this dream of ourselves, trying to externalize the extreme with the high note and a belt, and capturing the corset and the pearl in a shell, because Aphrodite was Venus when the moon hath fell. And I'm just loving the fact that I think feeling like I have people to talk to is allowing me to stream of consciousness better and not be academic or like be this 12th house moon sun in the 7th house projection thing through a YouTube metaphor of myself. You know what I mean? Like all that Pluto there watching me all the time. And in our cipher we did say it's in the 3rd house and it's now in Aquarius. So I'm just like, I'm thinking of these things that are like, I think it's some sort of inertia or separation from myself, or not that it is, because it's like I'm weaving towards it, and it's like I'm the spider that I killed, I'm the pearl that I'm trying to like Ashlesha Kundalini yoke, and I am the divine androgyne that is undivined through divas and devils and just all these things that like tripolarized all of our light. I feel I just, you know, it's very it's very encouraging, because just in terms of like my family, like it's like I can't talk to any of them like to the level of what I would express myself or try to on these things, because it will always be met with some sort of barrier or some sort of like ego. And I think that's why I also feel like what my astrologer said in my natal chart synthesis of like tone down the 7th house Mercury Venus flanking of yourself and just like tap into your 12th house through that Saturn in the 5th, because the way he expressed everything's connected, right? And the way I've been feeling all my life, and then everybody was trying to just like cut my Rohini from my Orion, and my male from my female, and my light from my dark, and like just cutting me out into all these pictures so that I could just like stand there frozen and reflect what they need in that moment to be their truth. And like I shouldn't have a voice, I shouldn't have like a presence, like just like the whole absenting myself into the environmental paint of just this whole cube of everything that made me feel so screwed, right? So yeah, I'm unscrambling that Rubicon for myself within the context of my consciousness, and I am just like, I'm allowing the most positive resonance frequencies of these archetypes to have a voice in Plato's symposium and all of that. But like everything people decode, everything that has been said negatively, I now have this filter of like whatever it is that I have. Um, Gene Key 36, Ketu in Revati, Tropical Scorpio Moon in Cheshire, Final Padab bitch. You know what I mean? Like, whatever it is, Mars in Virgo making me painfully analytic, or Rahu there, like Vulcan there, Vesta in Pisces, Sun in Punarvasu, like it's not like you can't astrologically even brag about it, because like if you share my placements, you know that like it's hard for everybody out here trying to figure this shit out from like the scrambled perspective that you would just have to like find your center point on in all of this deciphering, right? Like your why, my why speaks from a Plutonian place. Like look at where your why speaks from, and in what house and in what angle to this part of yourself and to that part of yourself. Like I know, like I am probably like not gonna teach astrology to anybody that um, knows what they are doing, but uh, what I know I am doing is I'm trying to see just maybe like how it's all very like connected and very Uranian, but also very Neptunian, and and all as it relates just like to ourselves and the earth and the projections that we create from the earth and the reflections we can like channel back to ourselves, and just this whole feedback loop that shouldn't be this like soul cycling, outsourcing, archonting of yourself, countrifying, petrifying, atlasing, aditiing, adavaing, androgyning, divining, invoking holy spiritual holes because alcohol, you're like, no, like the girl, guys and gals, like call yourself back. I had this lecturer in law. Uh, she gave me customary law and oh, Miss Johnson at Stellenbosch University. If anybody out there in South Africa knows what I'm talking about, appreciate Johnson. Yes, girl. So she would always say, pull yourself towards yourself. And oh, that woman was a glow of a beautiful, strong, free black woman in South Africa trying to make a difference with what she had and what she could do and inspiring everybody along the way. And you know, because I had an experience in college that just made me feel very Punarvasu tainted as it relates to my sexuality. I kind of like, I literally fell into a depression, and at the end of that year, I couldn't like even like write my exams. And so I went back in the middle of the next year and had to catch up all these things and sit into all these classes, but I wasn't getting um like I wasn't getting better, like I was not able to like shake myself out of it. And like one time, like I remember I was having a like chat with her in her office, and she literally told me like um yes, I have all of this potential, yes, I have all of this ability to do everything that I was now primed to like come there and be and mean, right? Because like when I arrived at Stellenbosch College, there were literally already people from like my hometown who went there, um or stuff like that. At the time I stayed in Elsies River and I went to Tygerberg High School in Parow in Cape Town. So there were just like already people there who had read, if you saw in my video, that like article that was in the Sun newspaper when like I got my matric results, and you know, just the way they like blew it up, right? Like that background picture, it was like they took my picture and then they said Hasty Flits is a slimster, to like give it to that community and just like show like I represent this thing for that notion of Cape Town and colored poverty and struggle, even though I had um certain luxuries, and yes, I did have struggles, it's like whatever, but like I always had people to take care of me, and like I said, I'm still here. Like I didn't like I didn't die yet. So that's just the thing. But like you grow up, right? And then like there's all these expectations. And when you are good at things, you don't like doubt yourself to be able to like fulfill your promises or whatever. And especially when you see adults like failing you or failing other people or failing like your siblings in one way or another, it's like whenever you commit yourself to something, you want to live up to it and not be like, living in this glass house that can be stoned. If you preached about something and then like it's something you don't like act out and live, or you wouldn't do it when the roles are reversed. Like, I was always like doing that feedback loop with myself and constantly just doing this like Libra moon on the scales thing. And because I did recognize the needs for boundaries before I had words to call it that. And when I didn't know I was needing to give myself a boundary, my body froze. And that's what I'm trying to tell you guys. It's like these things that happen, it's like they are meant to happen, but in a weird way, you also like had choices in that same moment to steer and spear and circumvent and navigate destiny. Because it's like they re-download the trauma into you with like a shocking experience of some sort. And it's not like a they thing of like something in the sky or something like to be honest, like I don't know what it is that mirrors us in the world, if that makes sense. To have these bringing it to a us notions and bringing it to a get out notions and bringing it to the world of like the seven to the bow to the mar of the Risha and the Jama with the L, you know? And everything Neptune and big big energy and Venus and Asura that we have been saying about these talking serpents, these whatever it is, like Slytherins, shapeshifters, um, because it's like I can see, like even when I watched The Matrix, I was very young, right? My dad like had it like recorded on uh like video tapes, like back in the day from like ETV and so on. Um, and it's just very interesting because it's like everything that I learn now about those things, everything that I used to think back in the day, like, um, for example, we had these movies of like Simsala Grim, and it was this Yo-Yo and Doc Croc character, and they were like these like spirit animals that came out of a book every time that was invoked in the fairy tale, and then they would accompany the fairy tale and the whole transformation journey. So everything that we have been like saying about fairy tales and ancestral wisdom and um Egyptian wisdom, the reason why the pyramid is so divisive in its construction and what we know about it or agree about it or whatever, and the belongingness of it all and stuff, it's exactly to point out this notion of like building a tower, um building this Maui island through the Jedi hook of ourselves and pulling up these worlds for them. Even if you saw like that world strip type of thing. When I cropped it somewhere, it kind of like gave also like this analog frayed with gold and silver from the indigo, blue, black, and the glow as the white luster to make it brightest and, you know, in its highlights. And all of those things, like, it got me thinking of like churning this DNA, waters of life, imagination of your internal Venusian, Uranian, Martian, Mercurial, Saturnian, Neptunian, Plutonian, Chironic, Malkusic, Moony, Volcanic, Earthy, Daimonic, tree of this upside down root tail inversions of I and the D, and the Berashit cosmic mounds of the Ruach Elohim, and the E of Uranus Castrati, and then just like, it's like, oh, it's like, is it that note on the mountain range that like, that really high note that like splits the blue from the mountain? The Tiamat sky, it's like the T, I of the A of Ma'at of the Blavatsky, Libra, Aries, Da'at, Squat. Because we know all these kind of like postures and stuff like, and chakra alignments and how that, like when, if you've been seeing in the backgrounds, I'll try and like, because I know, let me not like promise that. Like, I don't want to repeat stuff too much, but like I also want the videos to flow into each other in a certain way where I can like show you guys like, okay, I was doing a screening for this video, or like even when I'm trying to express the fact that like my subtitles, sometimes they don't say the words that I am saying, but sometimes they at the same time do say what my clarity or muffledness, like, it's like it gives a whole coloring or like just a whole different pun or something. So sometimes maybe like watch the thing also with the subtitles, because I feel like some very interesting things come up there. And like for everybody is like into like the gematria and stuff, like um put your little comment about, you know, what you decode, because I love getting comments. In fact, I really appreciate the originality of people who can like tell me something that I didn't know, you know. That's really what I like. I'm always striving for in conversation. That's why I have all this like pizzazz to my like avant-garde on the frontierness of these things, because I am a novice, but I'm also like this old soul in terms of just like my dream time of myself, where I just feel like I love that realm more, and I am more that realm than I am this realm. And it's like not divided within me in the notion of like, because here's the thing, I've always had this like situation with like energy vampires in my life. So for me to see it on a macrocosmic scale, anybody who is gonna now like psychologically break that down to be like, it was this, it was that, it was all this metastasization in your homeostasis of your PlayStation God of War narration, blah 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 blah. And okay, cool, I get it. But like what I animated into it, what I split, what I remembered, what I re plastic prima mobile and created and like seeded to be unconscious and then bring it to be conscious again and then tell myself it's deja vu or tell myself it's not deja vu or it's syncretism, it's not syncretism, like that whole north node, south node churning of whatever it is, because I don't know, right? I'm just telling you guys, like, I felt it. I felt when, like, eyes were shaping the light out of my, like, I almost want to say the form that I would eventually, like, see as, like, this solid recognition of myself in the mirror. But like once it became Medusa, it's like that statue that was like watered to grow like the flowers and the fruits of the Makara type of eidolon. But I had to be like something frozen and cold and detached and dead inside to like survive these people, to like survive in their world. I had to be like this Shatabishak, I had to be this Purvabhadra Padi and Ajay Kapat, 1 foot into their mind and just my wholeness within myself. And it was very mermaid and it was very just like sirening, you know, like pouring out all this like emotional energy all the time that my Scorpio cauldron was just like at the root of my Malkuth moon to my Sag earthness Pluto Ophiuchus, just like I was constantly knowing I had this like Ouroborean serpent in my hand that is like coming out through my mouth and you know coming out through my thoughts and what I'm eating and what I'm putting in and what I'm shitting out and like you know what I mean? It was just like this whole feedback loop, literally. And the whole with the E and the everything that we have been trying to divide from the Y, the V, the W, the U, and the holy of that. Even the S, if you put an L into it, you get C's and I's. If you kind of like split those little particles of what was in. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm saying like they are like these uh it's like this translucent mirror thing, like an aquamarine gem that like you know like it's like I can only describe it like if you see a moon's crescent on a in the day or yeah like if you've seen like a moon setting early in the morning like a full moon or something like that and the way it kind of becomes luminescent and opaquely transparent in the same kind of way, like in proportion to like the sun's brightening and all of that. Like it's like that, man, and it's just so very. It's like It's like the seminal fluid version of like um imagination, black matter fluid. And then I'm like, okay, so the brain and the gray and the grooves and the fact and the what stores all these electrical resonance frequencies to all these different shock points and trigger points and everything that they show you, they can like up your arbore vitae and like your tree of life, and then you will look like a mushroom and all of these things. And the fact that they tell you literally like they can tell you what you ate, what drugs you did, what this, what that, whatever, like from your hair. Like this stuff that people has been saying about like just like what is actually done to bodies and like in a post-mortem context, it's very grim and it's very reaper and it's very um oh it's just so like this whole other thing, right? But it's like those things that we created, the bodies and the placentas and the bodily fluids and the tissues and the like black goo of like the googly eyes, like all of the like that's their film, that's their bombs, that's their like it's like the like I literally had this dream once, like thinking of like these babies getting like um just kind of like shaved like butter for like this fatty stuff that when a mom just gives birth to a child. And then like I saw like some sort of like L'Oreal advert saying because you're worth it. Like what the fuck does that even mean? Like, and then like I just like heard like a whole different rabbit hole of like what these things could mean, a la Universe podcast, and it's like it's so bizarre to me that like it could even be, and I'm just like, and then they say like Israel shall eat their own children, and I'm just like, oh, oh my gosh, it's like it's just like it's giving me once again that island metaphor of, you know, becoming so blackened, and then the blackening is demonized as if it wasn't, you know, like it was the opposite of this alchemical purity that needed to be this pacified Rohini Makara of Tafiti asleep again. And then she grew larger, and everywhere where there was a true vertical stone on that like necropolis of ancestral rocks of Tauruses, um, Moana as the daughter of the chief, or you know, in a very also like Pocahontas way. Like they always subvert these fairy tales, right? It's like they tell you the story, but they don't tell you the story, and then what you think is not what you knew, and it's just like always up to you to have the W of yourself figured out as how it threads, because it was dividing you, and that's the N of my name, and the Ving, and the Horus, and the Ophiuchus seeing, and all of that. Um, so yeah, like the fact that she put a seashell, and we know everything that, and it had this like vertical plane to it as well, in just like the posture in which she laid it down. So yeah, it was just like it's not a true yin, or it's not a true yang, if I would call it that, because in this like divine androgyne flip notion that we now have to constantly disconfocculate ourselves back in this reverse psychology double speak, um, this undivine Androgyne. I saw literally my subtitles would say Andrew Giant, like the Andrews of the world. Oh my god, I'm sorry if that offends anyone who's an Andrew. It's not that you're an android, like I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that the words coming out of my mouth sometimes, I'm just like, who did I deep throat for singing to this tune? And what is scratching on my record plates and giving me nodules and airiness and high notes and low notes and belted ranges of this tight wool that I'm so anally vulcanizing to keep retained, and the punarvasu catione of the purity, and everything that just circumvents this vanity into like an earthly experience. Like that's just my experience right now. And if you want to experience things, you should actually experience things, and then you would experience things. A la Kendall Jenner. Oh my god. I don't know what you're talking about. But yeah, guys, it was just like, I feel like this uh, literal deep diva dive has been quite enlightening. And yeah, I just like, I think it's like telling the men like we've buried your feminine men. Like even sometimes Sevan Boma is says like feminine, or some like you like slips that word in like a um what would you would not call it, but yeah, like just the way he inflicts it sometimes. I would probably be very problematic if I not call it like Ebonics, or what Jackie Ina said about just like, certain things that are distinctly black and can't be imitated and never duplicated. Just like all of these like notions of Black Lives Matter, and why does it matter when you have people like Bro Polite and Rashad Jamal, and movies like The Black Panther, and we don't know who and what is like part of this like churning of the cosmic ocean of things that have been like, maybe they've like planted like certain thoughts already, like in slavery time, because this whole Kanye West saying slavery is a choice, it's actually maybe saying that there is no time to not be free. You know what I mean? In the sense of like your imagination is always free, they can take that away from me. Like a la Mariah Carey, like whatever, if she knows she's just a puppet and she's just doing this or that. Um, I'm just thinking once again of like these songs, man. It's like they tell you like, I've been cut off. I need your love. I need to be whole again. I need to find that missing part again. It's like they are telling us these things. They are telling us, and that's why they have all this emotion and tear stain, just everything to give for us in the same way that we just now like also eat it up in this weird mermaid speak water as memory, the light, the Leo, the Cancer, the Taurus, and the sea on the O, and the crescent of the moon, and the Aphrodite form, and the castration of Uranus, from which Saturn's world was born, for Jupiter to be the prince of the air was usurped, and Neptune to be the Cyclops big dig daddy energy, the ninth house I see heard. And the hallucinations of it all boring down into the Pluto of the third, with Venus in the 12th, Uranus in the 11th, Virgo Monosaurus Homo Solaris heard as Luciferian thought, dividing form and formlessness between Ra and Ketu, and the Capricorn from the abyss, and the Mula of that iron Namsha, and the formlessness that it shifts, and the Pisces of my Revati in tropical to Saturn is now a mist. And everything that my stream of consciousness is trying to say, I am just trying to swim through life and using my feet, defeating my thoughts to defeat, earning the war and the heat in the wisdom that I seek, because the dome has divided and I don't want to be dumb in the noon of the ignorance it provided, because when I did not want to see, I blinded myself to the struggling of the other me's, and I divided them amongst themselves, and yet it was all me and the color of the stars, the letters and the numbers and the rainbows and the owls. It all just became, and the water is still deep. The gold may have shone to the Witwatersrand reef, and now I'm bereaved because Nelson may have been a stag, but it doesn't take away from the power of Maui's hook that he had. Being LGBTQ in the context of Capricorn, Neptune generation, being LGBTQ in the context of Pluto, Sag generation, and now the Pluto in Aquarius and all of that, and Saturn in Pisces, blah blah blah. But anyway, that rainbow serpent symbol and the Nun and the Ra and the pyramid and everything, and the inverted Shaktis of this male voice Kundalini serpent through a castrato and a female to male like the rock, and what that does to the altars you build. So I was thinking of like divine androgynes and undivine holes, or black holes, or just like what Sevan Boma of the Tantric Black Mermaid meets up with what Rishad Jamal said about 9 ether beings. Like, let's try and find a link with Avatar and all of that, and the horse that had a tail of black but presented white.